The Ghost in the Shell, the new adaptation by Silent Saru, is finally here. The first episode is aired, and yes, it has met every bit of my expectation. I absolutely love this first episode. True to what they told us it was going to be true to the original manga. They pretty much hit every single panel. I would argue maybe they're a little bit too close to the source material, but yes, I do love seeing this new adaptation of The Ghost in the Shell. For those that are not aware, I'm not sure how you could not be aware at this point, because I think everybody's pretty much pointed out, Science Saru themselves has pointed out, yes, technically, this old, very godlike film back in the day, The Ghost in the Shell, that was done back in the 90s, was an incredible film, but it was like nothing to the actual source material. Like, they just took their own thing and they did it, which, yes, they did it amazingly, but it wasn't the original manga. It wasn't Ghost in the Shell. So to see Silent Saru kind of tackle the original manga, give it a true adaptation, and to do it to this caliber, to this absolute beauty of a caliber, I love it. I love it so far. The animation's on point. The stylizing to the older style is absolutely fantastic. The animation's amazing. We have some stellar music in the background. Everything again is on all cylinders. I would argue there's like one point where I felt like they could have probably expanded on a little bit to make it less jarring, and I'm a little bit disappointed by the OP and the ED. The music's good, but I feel like those could have been done better. But overall, I really did enjoy this episode. So let's get in the episode proper, going through it scene by scene, give my thoughts on it overall. First things first, what is The Ghost in the Shell about? This first episode pretty much opens up to find out who Major Kusanagi is. We're in the well, this is one of those funny things about this being adapted again. In 2 years, we're finding out in this anime that in 2 years things get crazy with cybernetic brains and everything like that. Again, this is a really old manga that's being adapted again, so they're talking about like in the year 2027, the world is completely connected and mankind has developed like cyber brains, and there's the ghosts and everything like that, and they're so interconnected, but still, societies are trying to kind of keep some semblance of like borders and whatnot. And that's why we focus in on specifically Daisuke Aramaki. Daisuke Aramaki is part of this public security group, and they work for the government to sort of take down, corrupt government officials and whatnot. And currently he's doing a sting on this group of individuals that were allegedly involved with the death of the former prime minister, the assassination of him. And so he's got the information that he needs. He does the raid on them, and very quickly the people involved are trying to kind of cover things up and use their authority and their power to get away with it. But that's when we have the appearance of our main character, yes, Major Kusanagi. She doesn't show up. She literally just kills the guy in the middle of the room that's trying to cover this up before just kind of jumping away with her camouflage and dipping. Cut the next day. At Internal Affairs, we have the appearance of this same woman, Kusanagi. And she just shows up and she's got this order from the previous prime minister, again, the one that got assassinated, to kill that individual. So it seems like there was a semblance that the prime minister knew what was coming and was having the major take care of something before he himself got killed. But yeah, she pushed upon the Internal Affairs that they need to create a special forces unit, one that she will head. Something that will give her the power and the money that she needs in order to take down really bad government officials that are involved with situations like this. To kind of test the waters, it seems like they pushed the major into, instead of having her own special forces unit, to work with Aramaki and the public security to take down some people first, like a test bed. And while he tries to figure out if he can fund this special forces unit. Spoiler, it doesn't turn out. They never fund her for this. They're just trying to get her to just join the public security and just use her as like basically a gopher. But yeah, she goes on a mission with Aramaki. Aramaki assigns her to go to this one facility that is seemingly brainwashing children and potentially doing other, very corrupt things. And when they get there, they realize there's not really anything suspicious about this facility. Yeah, the people that are running the facility are treating the kids like horribly, the orphans there, and they have this whole like system for training and whatnot, but there's no like brainwashing happening. They have no evidence to really kind of storm the facility, other than the fact that it seems like all the security officials are like decked out. Like everybody that's securing the place is absolutely decked in like military grade like implants and whatnot. So at some point they kind of just create a reasoning to raid the place and come to find out that yes, this is a facility that is being run by the government to do brainwashing, and they got a little out of hand. I think they even imply that one of the officials that are like heading it is like a spy or something like that. And yes, this is the point which, like I said earlier, the major presses on them again. Hey, what about that whole special forces unit? And they're like, you might want to join the groups, and we can talk about that later. And she gets pissed off and makes the guy punch himself. And that is the first episode of The Ghost in the Shell so far. Like I said before, Adaptation so far is doing an absolutely beautiful job. Like, if you actually look at the manga, it's like pretty much panel for panel, they're playing out the story just as it was. The humor's all there. None of the humor's been ripped out. There's kind of a changing in how things are kind of portrayed here and there, but overall it's pretty solid and spot on. The only part where I was like mentioning earlier, where I almost felt like there's points where you can honestly say this probably doesn't translate well to an animated medium. I'm all for like keeping strict to like a one-to-one adaptation. But when it comes to adapting to an animated format, there's certain things that you have to acknowledge that doesn't translate well. Case in point, after the whole opening segment where it has the major, help Aramaki take down this guy, it cuts straight to like music playing with just text on the screen, and it mentioned the fact that the major comes to the internal affairs and she proposes this whole thing, and then they decide they're gonna bring her into the public safety, and it's all just text on the screen with just music playing and a slideshow. That looks fine in a manga on a panel, but that doesn't translate to an animated format. It's just boring. It feels so like lifeless when that text is on the screen and just the music's playing. There's no other sounds happening. That's like one of those moments where I'm like, you could have done something more with this. You could have animated the scene. Animate her coming in there and saying, here, I have a proposal from the previous, prime minister. He wanted to assassinate that dude, and I want a job. I want my own unit. Give me the funding for my own unit. I'm obviously very good at what I do. Let me clean up your guys' messes. Something like that. They could have easily done that with the major coming in there and doing that. But again, they're trying to keep too close to it. I'm just hoping that doesn't happen anymore in the future. Like, do some creative work in here. Do something creative in it. But that aside, again, the rest of it's really great. And again, I love to it, despite the fact that I love this film, I love keeping true to the original. How, yeah, these characters are kind of quirky. I love that whole segment where they're doing the, pre-briefing, because to give people a little bit more context here for, what Ghost in the Shell is about, is you have a world that is so advanced that everybody has implants and whatnot. Their bodies are made up of like, cybernetics and whatnot. And you have the presence of certain individuals that have brains, some people that have cyber brains, and then you also have the presence of ghosts, which the ghost is like your actual self. And so whenever they go to do a briefing, Kusanagi, the major, she's allowing them to wire into her brain to see the information and to see what they need to have for the briefing. And when they get inside there, they get a little bit too far into her brain that they go beyond the information that she wants to give them and thus start to see other things. Very personal things about her. In the anime, it's like, them, going, oh yeah, your prosthetic is kind of giving a lot of problems. Like, oh man, what does this taste? Am I tasting like tranquilizers? They're getting into her personal life. Like, she's taking tranquilizers and whatnot. They're seeing and experiencing things that she's experienced. In the manga, they can go so far as to, like, I think when the translation has that they're like, talking about her period and stuff like that. They get a lot of information, too much information from her, by the fact that they went too far in. And to have them all kind of like reacting to it, her getting pissed off about it, it makes sense, right? I hate letting these insensitive jerks in that far into my brain. I don't want them seeing that kind of stuff. It's really great to kind of see the little quirks there. The fact that the technology is so advanced, yet there's all these little kind of breaks in it. The fact that, when he plugs into her, she makes a little moan. She talks about how this one jack is kind of a little bit not right. Later on, it becomes like an issue for her. Technology itself is so like lively in this world, and it's something that with all of the adaptations of Ghost of the Shell, I've always loved. I've always loved the viewpoint into this very futuristic world that is very believable. In a lot of regards, it's a very believable. It's not too far out of the realms of something that I could see happening, even though, again, we're not going to have this in 2 years. I'm sorry to shock everybody here. AI is doing its thing, but it's not doing much, right? It's not doing that much. We're not getting advancements like this. I'm not ready to plug myself into some sort of thing quite yet until, let some other people mess with it for about 5 or 10 years, and then I'll get the clinical public trials done, and then I'll jack in. But it's a cool, believable world, and again, to still have that humor mixed in there, it gives it a flavor. That's really what I feel most about the lack of comedy with a lot of these types of things, is especially these older style stories, these older cop dramas and whatnot. the thing that they had was this sort of chemistry that I don't think we really see that much anymore. A lot of the older things like, New Dominion Tank Police, you had Gunsmith Cats, these older cop drama type stuff that just had oozing of personality because the people involved in catching the bad guys were regular people. They were regular people. And so to see, again, the Major, despite the fact that she's kind of a hard ass at times, she's got this kind of camaraderie with her partners, especially like Bato and stuff like that. So I love they're keeping true to the manga, and then it has that personality there because, again, a lot of that chemistry and that goofiness is what really makes it. That entire time they're with an operator and they're just trying to figure out what's going on in this facility, and the operator is like giving them all this bad information and is lacking information that she's not being given to give to them. And so she has to kind of be the punching bag for the Major as she's pissed off that this is just kind of a rabbit hole they're going down right now, that they don't have enough to go in there, and that possibly Aramaki's trying to set them up. And the operator's getting smacked around the entire time. Granted, the anime is kind of giving it more like she's kind of getting handsy with her, which is kind of a sort of a thing with the Major, but like in the manga, it's like she's more like just smacking her around like, you're useless, you stupid thing, which again gets in the whole idea that she's just like this robot that's kind of a stand-in. It's just an AI machine here, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Again, like I said before, the animation is just, it's so good. And again, it really does call back to like the old 90s, kind of using these old techniques and whatnot and stylizing that just really, it oozes like, I wouldn't even say like 80s, late 80s, 90s style of anime with like just really incredible budgets and just an art style of its own. Just a breathed to life world that's not like anything else. And I think that's really one thing that a lot of anime these days sort of fall into, is having everything look very samey. This doesn't look samey. This looks very unique. And again, it's to Science Saru. It's definitely one thing that even if I don't always resonate with every work from Science Saru, I will always give them mad credits for having absolutely unique and stunning artwork given to it. I will admit, despite the fact that I've given some of the manga a read, I have not read it all. So I will be curious to see, from my own personal standpoint, how well this will hold up. Because I do know that a lot of older titles, when they are readapted, they're not the most entertaining, engaging stories. You do realize at some point, yeah, this is kind of dated. Like the humor and everything is very dated. And I don't really necessarily think that's going to be a problem for Ghost in the Shell, because Ghost in the Shell has a lot of really good storytelling when it comes to politics and, the technology and whatnot, how it's used, the hacking, everything like that, the brain diving, things like that, the hacking on the battlefield, which I will get into in a minute. I think a lot of those things will still keep it floating, despite the fact that it is an older title being readapted. Surefire Sign is that combat sequence toward a later part. I love how every single one of the characters are sort of involved in the battle in some way. Yes, Togusa absolutely fails miserably. He's a little bit green, but yeah, having all these individuals sort of trying to hack in, stunning the individuals, keeping them in place so they can't move, and then having somebody else hack them and take them down, and then Kusanagi's over here having to report to have them kind of send a surge over there so that knocks this guy out, and then he chases her out into the middle of nowhere where he basically just goes right after a dummy that she places down there. She uses her, camouflage to be able to take him down. Something I've always loved about Ghost in the Shell across the board is just, I love how the battlefield isn't just bullets. The battlefield isn't just the physical ground. It is so much more. It is proxies, it's hacking, it's all this other stuff. Anything that you can utilize in technology-wise is your battlefield. Sometimes the two people are just sitting there doing nothing while brains are going crazy. Sometimes the brains are going crazy. It is really good stuff. Additionally, the music. I absolutely love the music. I think it might be Tasei Iwasaki. I might be wrong there, but I know they worked on like Blood Bucket, Battlefront, and Bell, and Metallic Rouge, and I know a lot of those have vocals as well. The music is just phenomenal. Absolutely beautiful music. I think there's certain points where, again, it's a little bit rough, and that's really around like that one segment that I was talking about earlier with the music playing over text on the screen, that little segment that's kind of like, I wish they did something with it. But like everything else, like the music is great, especially the later part, that little battle sequence with the music in the background. It's so good. It's so good. I love vocals in my music, and I think people need to start doing that a lot more often. But that all said, though, I am really loving the return of Ghost in the Shell, or at least the readaptation of the Ghost in the Shell. Love to see my girl, the Major, back. She's as beautiful as ever. Love her personality and snarkiness as usual. I'm I'm so thrilled this is doing as well as it's doing, and I cannot wait for more. But that's my thoughts on the Ghost in the Shell premiere. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. Until next time, y'all take care.